Welcome to the Spiritual Highways podcast with Leanne and Michelle.
Hey, friends. We're back. Part 2. We're back. I know. I mean, I just totally sprung that on you, but it's okay.
Hey, I'm glad that we broke it into 2 parts because it gives people some time to digest the first half of it if they need to break it up into 2, and then they can come back for the second half and see what we talk about, because right now
2 weeks later. Yeah.
Well, if we might get crazy, I don't know. We'll do it. We're going to do it. And I just want to say, I have hijacked David's office because I'm at home. And so these are
I'm sorry.
cameras. The plant is mine, my greenery. But I've commandeered his office for this podcast. Poor thing. He has to edit all of the video and the audio and
Thanks, Dave.
out of his office. But yes,
I do like that painting behind you. I have to say that.
I know a girl. She's pretty talented, Leanne.
I haven't seen that in a long time. So I forget where they are. I forget,
Yeah, where they pop up. I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we bought that one when he got his home office. And so he loved it and I love it too.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. It looks lovely there for sure.
But I don't want anyone.
I am in St. Louis still. Well, I'm still here because this is part 2. So, so I'm still here. I haven't come home yet. So, in the past, 20 minutes?
But
but I just felt like we needed to kind of break it up because, we
don't need to go any. It's good that we took a little break.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, what we did discuss can be like you said, absorbed over the past 2 weeks, and then maybe kind of
to be absorbed
in
a life.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
Those are skills you got to work on daily.
Oh yeah, and I don't think that you're ever finished. I don't know that we're ever finished. And I guess you're finished when you die.
Yeah. Well, that would be.
You're really not, but we won't get into.
Yeah. Oh no, you're not done.
We'll just skip on it. Well,
you're not done.
There'll be a whole. Yeah, that's a whole another discussion. But we were talking about boundaries being boundaries, not walls, but being fences.
Right.
And the whole premise behind that was, that you're not kind of corralling all your animosities or your pains or anything you don't want or that's not serving you. We don't want that to get stuck behind the wall and where you just kind of live in this cesspool of just junk. You want to be able to work through it, recognize it for what it is, accept it for what it is, process it, and then choose of your own free will to let it go. And we talked about the heart bridge and how you can allow those things to pass through the heart and send them back up to God where they belong. That too, that's not a one and done thing. You can't be like, okay, I'm going to go through everything today and finish, but it is and some things that you're absolutely think you're finished with, little pieces of it kind of float back up. I use the analogy a lot of opening up a Sprite or a soda can, or a soda bottle. Every time you do it, it's a little bit less carbonation, and then eventually it's flat. I look at, healing and especially going back to things very similarly. So you're not always. Thank you.
That's my lint. I look at it as a lint filter in the dryer. Dry towels, and then you clean the lint filter out, and you're like, oh, no, I don't want to get them out yet. So you hit dry again. And then there's more lint. And then, third, fourth time of not wanting to get them out. Sorry, I've been there. And there's always lint, so eventually there won't be any, but it's always less every time.
Yeah. I like that.
Let's run over.
I do like that. That's greatness. Well, and the other thing with boundaries, and this is kind of merging into separate things, but I think that they're both very relevant. And we touched on this in I think the episode before last, or I don't know, at some point or another. Maybe it was 36 for some reason. I'm thinking that. We discussed let them boil. And I briefly discussed it in one of those episodes, but I really wanted to kind of dig a little deeper with that and what that means, because it is something that comes up a whole lot. And I think that it is very, not only informative, but very helpful.
Okay.
This is helpful in recognizing like cycles that you find yourself in, especially those repetitive cycles with different people. And it's like, okay, it's the same thing over and over again. And they say isn't it the definition of insanity is when you're continuously doing the same thing over and over again? Isn't that right?
Yes.
Well, this is where a lot of
Expecting.
not
Insanity is when you do the same thing over and over again and you expect different results each time. I mean, you're not.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, and the way I'm discussing this, it's like in a scenario of always, and when it comes, I don't know what that was. I can't speak for a moment. When we're dealing with someone else, like that, there's that person that always you go to and you really want to help them, and you don't have a lot of strong boundaries with this person, and they need you and you're always there and you do exactly what your heart tells you to do. But the results still end up the same, and it's not always a healthy thing. This can take on many, many different forms. I mean, from someone you barely know to someone that you're the closest with, more so closer to than them than anyone else. I can't speak all of a sudden.
Where's my words?
I know it's like it's all jumbled up. But anyways, so once you recognize those cycles, a lot of times we don't want to do this because we also get in that rut of this is what I've always done. This is how I've always responded to this person, and it's easier to just do it and to deal with it in this manner than to set boundaries, because we don't want to set boundaries with people because we don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, or we think that we're afraid that if we do set the boundary, then what's going to happen to that person or other people that are involved? If I say no, does that make me a bad person? Or what are the repercussions that I'm going to get for even setting this boundary with this person by saying no? And so then the analogy that Spirit gives is like, let that person come to a boil. So if you imagine this person and even yourself in a pot of water, and we need to boil it so that the water's purified, right? Does that make sense? No water. Okay, so follow me. Stay with me. So we have this pot of water. We have this person, and I'm gonna just say it's a mother figure. Okay, so you have your mom, and she's right here, and this could be a mom, a friend, whoever, and they're in this pot of water. Well, once they get to a simmer, that means life is getting uncomfortable. You can imagine how water starts to simmer, and they get uncomfortable. They want to project everything to you. That can be in needing certain things, or that can look like, this is my favorite, projecting, let me just vomit all of my stuff onto you. And so they take their simmering water and they dump it onto your plate. And then all of a sudden they're back over here and they're no longer simmering. So they're like enjoying their pot of just river water. Okay. Well, the thing is that they're never going to get purified by coming to the boiling point as long as you're going to accept their simmering water. So that's why Spirit says, let them boil. So that means sometimes
So good.
your comfort zone, right? Well, but I want to show both sides of how this may look. So I have this person, and trust me, I've been known to be this person in the simmering water plenty of times. But so I take my water and I dump it on, or I call you Michelle, and I'm like venting to you about all this stuff that's going on in my life, and I think that I'm thinking that I'm getting rid of it because I'm giving it to you, and then it makes me feel better.
Right.
So I get my water. Well, what do you do with it? So you can either choose to redirect it back to me, or you can process it by saying, okay, this is not mine. or you can hold on to it as though it was mine. So I've taken your day, which has been mediocre, and now it's really crappy because you're holding my junk too. And so what do you do with it? Do you pick up the phone and do you call someone else? Can you believe what what Leanne just called and dumped on my lap? And sharing it. That's also when Spirit says is a great time to sit with it. And I know you discussed this. I got to take a sip. Sorry.
Hey, but I have a question. Can I?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I know what I would do. If you vented to me,
Mm-hmm.
I would sit with it. And in my head, I would try to think of, okay, how can she solve this? Like, and how can I help her solve it? So you vented and you've moved on, and maybe you've gone off and now you're, gone for a hike or for a swim because you feel good and you're going to go enjoy your day. And now I'm sitting in the house and I'm dwelling on this. It's all in my little hamster wheel is going because I'm like, well, I've got to help her and I'm going to fix this. So what should have happened there? Let's take that moment.
Okay.
What is the healthiest option for that trip?
Okay. Well, I'll give you both of them.
Okay.
It's one, cutting it off at the beginning. And that's what brings us back to this other side. So we'll just kind of allow the other scenario of you holding on to this stuff once you've already gotten it. We'll back to that in a moment. But we'll revisit first on how to not let that happen.
Okay.
By setting boundaries. Now, boundaries can look like a lot of people don't. Let me back up a little. A lot of people don't set boundaries. One, I think the most more often than not, it's because we just don't know how.
We don't even know what they are.
Right. We don't know what they look like.
We can't breathe right. Why would we know about boundaries?
Well, they don't teach you this stuff. They don't teach you this stuff in school.
Right. We sure as heck don't even know what a boundary is, and we don't know how to set it.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, I'm listening.
Sometimes we don't even realize that we're the ones who are breaking other people's boundaries. We're
all guilty of it. But
right. So, but a couple just quick examples would be not having to answer the phone on the first ring. A lot of people that work, they feel obligated to pick up the phone the moment work calls and instantly fix the problem. And no, this is your time. Is it? There's a certain period of time where, okay, I'm going to choose to work from this time to this time, and I'll allow 5 minutes before or 10 minutes before work and after work to answer phone calls. But other than that, if someone calls, I'm going to wait and I'll address it in the next morning, not at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night, even though I want to. That's setting a boundary. And that with your friend or your mother, whoever it is. And Lord knows I take this to the extreme. And it's not to set a boundary, it's just that I'm terrible. No, I had to throw that out there. It's not a boundary, it's just a bad. But anyway,
there will be a new sun and a new set of things for her to ignore. So forget it.
Sorry. No, don't take it. Oh, you just have to not. Please do not take it personal. Yeah. But answering phone calls or answering texts right away, it can wait. It can wait. The other one is before saying yes or obligating yourself, here's the caveat to, even if you know you want to say yes, challenge yourself to say, I'll get back with you or I'll let you know. And really let them know, but give yourself a moment to say, wait, is this really what I want to do? I'm not saying yes because I can, I can actively, yes, I know how to do a lot of things, but do I have time to sheetrock somebody's hole in their wall? No. But if you ask me, I'll help you do that. No, I really should, really, let's think about logistics here. Think about the whole scenario before you just jump right on in. That's another way. This is one of my favorites, and this goes back to our example. And that is when that person calls to project, there's a difference between sharing and projecting. Usually, the difference usually happens right when they're in the midst of that moment. When they process it themselves, you're still red in the face and you're still angry, and it's you're ready to attack. They haven't sat with it. So that's a definite big sign of projecting. You're can do about it. This is how you respond. Hey, I know I'm normally your voice of reason for this, and I know I'm your sounding board, but I've got so much on my own plate right now. I love you, but I'll pray for you, but I gotta go right now. We can talk about this later. Wasn't that sweet? It was a good way of saying and you can even say, look, I love you and I want to be here for you, but I'm just not right. I'm not in the right headspace for it right now. So I can't, but I will pray for you and we'll follow up later. So that's an easy way of and that also shows you the workaround as far as not allowing me to throw any of my simmering water onto you.
Right. Well, and sometimes you don't really know, if it's somebody that you talk to normally, not in a simmering situation, you're going to pick up the phone and then not know what you're getting.
Absolutely.
So then it's like, whoa. So the problem is, and this is what we're guilty of doing, if you're presented with it, you immediately then block out everything that's in front of you and start responding to what you've now been presented with. And that could mean your kids are waiting on you to walk out the door. Your husband is waiting on you to go to dinner, because you're like, oh, no, they've called. I've got to handle it. And so the boundary comes not necessarily in that you don't want to hear it, but it's not a good time for you to hear it.
Exactly. You've got to be in that headspace of where I can have
in the middle of something. I'm walking out of the door. I love you. As soon as I get home, I can call you. It might be late if that's okay, but I can't talk right now. And so I think there's a healthy way to set that boundary because you do want to be there for your people.
Absolutely. And absolutely.
But also the thing that there's also the piece of it. Okay, let's say we've drawn the boundary. We're not going to hear it right now because we are committed to other tasks that are in front of us, whether it's family or friends or work or whatever. Focus on what's in front of you. Then you make time to connect with that person and you hear what they have to say. There's literally nothing you should do beyond that. I mean, unless you're getting them information, you know someone and you can put them in touch. I'm going to send you this person's information and they can help you. But then you have to put it out of your mind. You can't let it live in your brain beyond that conversation.
Let me pause you. You can ask the magical 3 words that we discussed in the previous episode, which is, what can I change? What can I control? What is my responsibility?
Okay.
And then you can also offer,
okay, hang on, friend. We're going to write it down because everybody get a piece of paper.
Okay.
What can I
Did I change?
What can I?
Or can I change it?
What can I change? Okay.
What can I control?
What can I control? Okay.
What is my responsibility?
What is my responsibility? Okay.
Yeah.
So in those questions, if we take those questions and then sit with our person and we use those questions as a filter to what we do in that conversation.
And you can even ask them, okay, well, what can you change? What can you control? What is your responsibility?
A lot of the things that people project all over you, none of it is there.
Right.
They're projecting a reaction to somebody else's stuff.
Exactly.
You're right. Gosh, we have so much work to do.
Both. Don't we all? Another boundary too is and this is another good one. I can give you groceries, but I can't give you money anymore. That fits a lot of people's, scenario because this person always gets in a pinch or in a bind and they always come to them and they give them what they need. This person's happy. Yet the cycle continues over and over again, and we don't fix it again because we want
And
either don't know how to set boundaries.
I don't
or we're afraid.
I don't care who you are. If you're not fixing a boundary like that, you are getting really resentful.
Oh, but
Dress up that resentment however you want, but it's still bubbling.
oh yeah, oh it's there. Just because you haven't felt it immediately yet,
Or acknowledged it, or given it a
acknowledged it.
true name.
Oh yes.
You're getting
Oh.
really resentful.
Well, the things that we let slide, and the things that we don't fix, and that we just kind of smile and like keep going, that's the little resentment bubbles that build up. But the other thing is this. Quite often, again, going back to why we don't set those boundaries, is we're afraid of what's going to happen. Because here's the thing. That reaction, because of, oh, if I set this, that person, because they're still simmering in their water and hopefully coming to a boil, they're going, when you've given them a different reaction than what they're used to from you, they're gonna react to that. And sometimes it's not very nice. Sometimes it's, you aren't there for me. But what Spirit says often in readings is allow the uncomfortableness of change be your sign of growth. So if they're reacting to your boundary, that means you're changing something, and let that be your sign of, hey, I'm doing a good job. It's not that you're wanting to leave someone hurting. That's not it.
And you can do it with
Instead of anticipating that reaction and make that be the cause of preventing you from setting that boundary, let that be your, okay, things are uncomfortable. They're uncomfortable. The reaction that I'm getting is different than I typically am. I'm typically receiving from that person. That must mean that something that I'm doing is changing. Now, whether that person goes and projects their stuff to someone else or what,
and they may, but again,
it's
not responsible for how other people behave.
correct. Correct.
Let's say that again. You are not responsible for other people's behavior. Okay?
Right.
Know that.
That's right.
The only person you're responsible for is yourself.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
doing that,
Mm-hmm.
but also setting boundaries, you can do them and still be kind. You don't have to be unkind in your boundaries. I think
Oh, absolutely.
we think of it being, mean, harsh, and it doesn't have to be. It just means you can love these people, but you have to love your peace more.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean that you're going to love them less. It just means you have to keep yourself grounded and peaceful and healthy to continue on your path. And if you give yourself chunks at a time, away, it's not good for your health or really for anyone around you.
Well, like the analogy I used in the previous episodes, when you think of those big fences, walls, they're almost impenetrable. But yet, if we have these fences like this, you can have gates on your fences, and that means you can allow it to open and you can allow it to close. And you can have, just like on a big ranch, you've got big fences that are lining your whole property. Then you've got your yard that's kind of, lined out. And then you've got your whole fence around maybe on your porch, so you could stand on your porch and be like, yeah, come on in.
And also fences like you're talking about and not walls.
Yeah.
Walk to somebody over your fence.
Like, absolutely. Hey, neighbor.
Yeah. Hey, neighbor. You're talking to them from a little further back, but it doesn't, you're not talking.
But that doesn't mean that they're going to come and all their footprints are going to run up your yard either.
Right. Yeah.
They're not going to stampede in.
No, there are footprints in your yard. Gosh, that's good.
Yeah. So these are some things that come up so often in readings, and, it really helped a lot of people. So I just thought it was important to share those things today. And I think that, we all can, that's what it's all about, is learning, different things from different people. And especially comes from the upstairs, it is helpful.
No, but, and really, and you hear this all the time, is like, what you see in others is in yourself. And
There's so much truth in that.
It is. And it's like, if something makes you angry,
Oh,
not the thing, it's that you have anger in you.
oh, wait, hold on. Here's what Spirit's been sprinkling a lot of.
Okay.
More often than not, the things that don't. I'm not talking about triggers as far as like emotion, as far as like the anger, specifically anger, is what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Things that anger you, and even irritate you, but really anger you from that someone else is doing.
Okay.
More often than not, you are doing the same exact thing in an unrelated area of your own life.
Interesting. Like doing it to yourself or doing
Or other, it could be doing it to someone else, it could be doing it to yourself, and that is scary.
Okay, so you are the villain in your story.
Yep.
Okay, and that's really important because
It's true. Like,
I'll go home now. I'm feeling a little uncomfortable. So
yeah. Sorry. I look, I've reflected on that, and that's
some tough business. We need to write tonight. Everybody write down what things in someone else is making them angry, and then try to pin it back to where you're doing that.
Yeah.
Like the origin point.
our triggers. That's what all of these.
Be from when you were younger.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Usually what is
And not. It is from it.
Yeah.
It's often way from your past, the things that you haven't thought about in a very long time.
okay.
And again, because it's a snowball effect. When you don't deal with those things in the moment,
Okay.
sometimes we just can't. Sometimes we're just overwhelmed with life, or when something that requires a strong emotional response to, whether that be a death or a big traumatic experience, or even small little things, that things that someone said maybe and hurt our feelings or things like that. If we are not, when what we don't process, that means what we don't take the time to observe, to acknowledge, to accept, and to release, it's in our bucket. It's going in your bucket, and you're not finished with it until you choose to release those things and free them. And so it creates a snowball effect. So that instant that we stuck in our bucket that we think we're finished with really happens, something else happens. And so it's on top, it's collected on top of that. And then someone triggers us. And so we have a strong emotional response to that. And really, it has a lot less to do with what's happening in the present. It has a lot more to do with things that we haven't resolved in the past. So it creates a snowball effect. So often if you go back and revisit, it's like pulling the bow and arrow. You're pulling back to the start. You're not going to relive it. You're going to revisit it so that you can release it and like take out the trash.
Right.
Trash. Oh yeah. Spirit has a whole bucket theory. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're headed.
And this is interesting as far as I feel like, I don't know, my children are a big source of my self-awareness and like
Absolutely.
them. And one of my boys, we were talking and I had said something and it hurt his feelings and we were trying to work it out. And I said, I'm sorry if I hurt you. And he said, when you just stuck if in there, you just negated your apology.
Wow. That's
I just was like, I sat with it for a minute and I'm like thinking it through, like, and it's like, he's like, that's not even apologizing if you say if. And I had to sit with it for a while and he's like, just apologize. Like if you're sorry, just say, I am sorry. Not, I am sorry if what I said. It's like, I'm sorry if my words hurt your feelings. Just, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. Period. The end.
That's pretty deep.
It was. And it caught me. I literally had to stop and think about it. I'm like, I literally went, you know what? I'm going to sit with that for a little bit and we're going to pick this up later. And he was like, okay.
Good for you.
I mean, it's really important to hear other people in a conversation too, instead of just you. And I'm trying to, am I allowed to say a bad word?
Yeah.
Well, because it's video, I feel a little like that. But like there's, the articles where it's like, they're like, you see the letters like, am I the a-hole? And then
Yeah.
story, and they want people to tell them they're not the a-hole. And I told David, I was like, I'm gonna make a t-shirt that says I am the a-hole in my
That's so true.
because I'm trying for self-growth to go, if I'm in the middle of something, I'm gonna go, okay, I'm the a-hole, what's happening? And see how it all pans out. And
Hey, I think that's a great idea.
that I'm the hurt party, I'm gonna, and oftentimes I am the a-hole, but like I'm trying to see it through that lens to go, okay, where's my responsibility here? And I don't know. It's a work in progress. So y'all just bear with me. I don't know. But
Hey, I love that. But you know what? I've noticed too, our children are often a trigger for us, especially because, and oftentimes as well, if you find that, you had this great relationship and then all of a sudden it starts to morph and kind of change and they're like, wow, you used to never get on my nerves and now you really get on my nerves. If you trace back your own past, usually what age you were at their age, and I'm not talking about just getting on your nerves. It could be showing a lot of empathy, like you're kind of projecting your old pains or your old experiences on or fears that from things that you experienced onto your own children. Usually it's because of that where you were and what you experienced at that same age.
silly questions you ask, or the way you ask them, or the way you approach a conversation is stemming from your own past at the age
experience. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, if I'm gonna just make this up as an example. Like, I have a 13-year-old and I'm fearful of them. Like, I don't know. Do you really want to try out for band? Should you really do this? But really and truly, when I was 13, I was rejected. I tried out and I was rejected. I had to protect that. I'm protecting my child from the rejection that they may or may experience based on my own experience.
Okay.
Was that age. So a lot of times your children will cause you to have little triggers at that age, but it's a good example for you to,
right.
Hey, let me go back and see where things have changed up.
Well, and I also feel like I'm trying to learn from them because they don't have the baggage I do.
Right.
They can sometimes
Absolutely.
see things a little more clearly, not when it comes to like, you're the child, I'm the parent.
Oh yeah.
But in a moment if we're having an argument or something, sometimes they like bring things up and I'm like, oh,
yeah,
hard to hear. Stop it.
Yeah.
Talking.
Usually it's that stuff that makes us very uncomfortable, like that we need to hear.
Yeah. It hurts sometimes, but it's all good.
Well, this has been so fun and I could do all day.
This might be the way we do things because it's hard sometimes to connect. I feel like my life's got busier the older my kids have gotten. I'm like, directions. So this might be the way we do things.
Hey,
we'll hope
I'm
Dave can handle us with all this.
Sorry, Dave. Thanks for all you do.
All right, Dave.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, not sorry. So, well, we thank you all for your love and your support and being there for us for everything and for sticking it out through our
reading, like
our
long hiatus. Sorry.
Yeah. We're trying to get back in the groove of things.
We're trying.
Yes, one day at a time.
Yeah.
But we thank you for all your love and support. Share it with your friends, and we will hopefully talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Spiritual Highways podcast with Leanne and Michelle. Catch up on past episodes at spiritualhighways.com, on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, and more.